Hi guys, this is Simeon from Swedish Homestead. Today I want to answer a question that one of you guys sent in, and I think it's a good question. It's worthy to discuss. All of us together, you can give your input as well, and you might benefit from this as well. So one of you guys sent this, and I won't read all of it, but it says, my girlfriend and I moved from a dry, relatively predictable part of British Columbia to a rainforest, which as you can imagine is much less predictable and way wetter. I've been running into pest problems pretty much all year, so I wondered how you are dealing with bugs and such in your gardens. How do your animals factor into pest control? Okay, I want to talk a little bit about this because we have gained some experience on this over the years, and I think there are three things that are key to a healthy garden. The first one is study nature and study everything around you, how it's going, because I bet you if you move to a rainforest or if you move to a desert, you see that wildlife is functioning there. If you see in the rainforest, I'm sure it's balanced there. I'm sure it's not pest problems there. So what you want to do, first of all, you want to grow what is hard to kill that's growing there naturally already. Look at stuff that you want to grow that's just naturally around you and that you see works out in nature there, that maybe works out for other people. So you want to study that. You want to study why is nature in balance, what is going on there. That is the first thing. The second thing I would say is avoid monocultures. And what I mean is, if you will study your nature, you will find that there is such a balance there because there's such a variety of plants. Justin Rhodes posted a really good video on the permaculture orchard where the guy was explaining really well how he planted trees with different kinds of trees, apple tree, pear tree, plum tree, and so on, just in mixed together, and how that really helped him with his whole pest control so much. That's just key, I think. You look at Sepp Holzer's farm in Austria, which is an incredible place for looking at just a permaculture and big variety. When you look at nature, is that everything is perfectly balanced, and when it's not, tries to naturally balance it. So you want to work with the nature. So there are obviously so many little details you can observe and try to work with, and some of them are like major, they will just make a big change, and some of them, you know, you can just improve it all the time. So that's what we're still working on. We are constantly trying to get better and to improve and all of that. So study that nature. If you take, for example, Joel Salatin, who does a big commercial farming, for us it's big, you know. It's not like some of these huge with thousands and thousands of acres farms that are around the world, but it's still on a bigger scale when we talk, especially this permaculture or homesteading or gardening movement or whatever you might want to call it. And one thing that he works with is also, you know, try to be in balance and work with nature. He, for example, and these are just principles, not so much with gardening, but for example, he tries to get his calves when the deer or the other animals in nature get their babies. Quite much later than many other farmers. He plants trees so his field is only 200 yards wide at the widest spot, so that birds can still cross, and so there are lots of natural critters in the forests that keep bears and coyote and foxes in there. These principles that he follows, it just shows you how he tries to work with nature to make this better. You know, you have this huge field and no forest around, and there are lots of species that keep pest balance and all of that, that won't be there. Now, one thing that was quite fascinating, Charles Allerton, one of his big things is timing. Everything has a timing. You know, you miss this spot, you're a little too late or a little too early, and this whole system will not work. One thing that he does is he puts his chickens in his kitchen garden a few times a year for just a short time, for like half a day or something. He puts them all in there, and then he takes them out of his garden again in the evening. What happens is the chickens will all go for the insects first. If you leave them in there longer, they will go for the vegetables. But if you put them in there, the chickens help control the pests. Now, we haven't tried that, but I think it's a very smart thing to do, and you'll just have to do testing, and believe me, you'll lose some crops, and testing is difficult, but you know, you'll learn and you can figure that out. I think in general, one of the most beneficial animals for pest control would be chickens, and that will bring me to my third point. You know, work with animals. You know, you can replace birds that are in the wild with your chickens, for example. Work with nature, and then the animals. You can have chickens take out, you know, they eat the eggs of slugs. They don't eat the slugs when they're big, but if you do it right, timing wise, the chickens can eat the eggs. They can control a lot of things. So this is just my recommendation. Try to mimic nature, try to avoid monocultures, and try to work with animals in a cycle altogether. And now, ending this video, I just want to say that the most important things are, the biggest things I think that you can start with is to have a healthy soil fertility, by covering it, by mulching it, by putting compost on it. That is the number one point for healthy crops, and that can also resist pests themselves. That is the biggest thing, okay? That will also help you, you know, when you say you move to an area where it's very wet, it'll help you for the whole ground to dry up super fast. Both wood chips or compost, all the organic matter, it soaks up the moisture underneath, which also helps your roots not to drown, but it also dries off super quick, much quicker than clay or other muddy, unprotected ground. Just dries up really quick and helps you to have a healthy ground. So that's, I think, is the biggest thing that you should do, and study nature. You know, that's what we try to do and try to improve it all the time. But we've had a lot of issues with pests, and we've had wet years where just certain crops didn't work because it was super wet. Now we have a super dry year, and I think what we have found is that covering the garden, the organic matter, it just really balances that a lot, takes away the edges of this extreme weather, of these extreme conditions. So I hope you found this helpful. Hope that you guys can give some input as well and change some ideas. I know many of you guys have a lot of experience, probably some of you more experience than us even. So please feel free to comment and give some insight there. And I think this will be a very helpful discussion in this, on this social media platform here. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope to see you tomorrow. Bye bye.